Before the meeting commences, I would like to acknowledge that we are meeting on the land of the Bidjigal and Gadigal people who occupied the Sydney coast, being the traditional owners. On behalf of Randwick Local Planning Panel, I acknowledge and pay my respects to the elders past and present and the Aboriginal people in attendance today. Good afternoon and welcome to the Randwick Local Planning Panel meeting of the 27th of November 2025. I'm the chair of the panel. My name is Stephen Lehman, and with me is Awais Paracha on my left, and we are the expert members for today's meeting. Community representative for the panel's meeting today is Edna Gregorio. Prior to the commencement of this meeting, all members were required to sign a declaration of interest in relation to each matter on the agenda. I can confirm that all declarations have been received and that no conflicts were identified. Do any of the panel members have any further matters to declare before we proceed? No. Thank you. Briefly explain meeting procedures. To ensure fairness and efficiency, all speakers will be asked to stop at 3 minutes or 4 minutes if a minute extension is granted by the chairperson. So, if there are matters that still need to be clarified, panel members may use question time to allow further dialogue. Today we have a number of speakers. We have the 2 items with 4 speakers and 3 speakers respectively, registered to address the panel. There are no councillors addressing today's meeting. Registered speakers for each item will be heard in the following order: first, objectors, thereafter applicant or applicant's representatives. As I said, each speaker will be given 3 minutes to address the panel. The panel has been provided with copies of all the submissions received in response to the public exhibition of the application. Therefore, there is no need for speakers to repeat all the points made in those submissions. Speakers should focus on the key matters they wish us to understand and consider, including any suggestions about how their concerns could be resolved. The applicant, when called upon, may wish to comment on issues raised in the council's report, provide a response to proposed conditions, and or address any issues raised by an objector. After the speaker has addressed the panel members may ask the speaker questions to clarify any matters. Only registered speakers will be allowed to speak and respond to questions from the panel. Any person using defamatory or offensive language may be asked to leave the meeting, or the meeting may be adjourned. An audio recording is being made of this meeting, and we ask that speakers use the microphone on their device when addressing the panel to ensure that their comments are recorded. The audio recording will be available through Council's website by tomorrow afternoon. After all the registered speakers have been heard, the panel will deliberate and vote on each matter in a closed session. The first application with registered speakers for this public part of the meeting is the application DA/222/2020/A for 8 Clyde Street, Randwick. First on the list, I have Alan Davies of 9 Pitt Street. Mr. Davies, could you address the panel, please?
Yes, thank you. Thank you to the chair and the panel for their site visit this morning. With regards to the changes on the western side of the proposal, our concerns arise around the building height around the level 4 rooftop at the southern edge. Whilst it has been pared back up the wall to some degree, the actual height of the wall has increased 1.5 metres to an RL of 45.2, with increased plant equipment screening to a further height of 45.6. This is well above the original height controls for this section of the building and also what had been previously approved. The actual magnitude of the non-compliance has not been assessed, only approximated by council. The extra wall height in this section of the building brings the total wall height to approximately 11 metres. Along with the other large sections of uniform wall, the changes magnify visual bulk issues for us, creating further sense of oppression and confinement as it is orientated directly into our living areas or adjacent our living areas, and also our outdoor areas, including a pool area. The efforts made to mitigate the mass by the addition of a planter box in that section off level 4 does little to really improve the overall mass effect. There also appears in this latest proposal to be an increase at the level 3 rooftop southern edge where it projects. It just seems to be higher. The actual roof line is the same, but the amount of building just above that takes it, I think, higher to what has been previously approved. The height increases and change in form on levels 3 and 4 have further adverse view impacts from our living areas of our skyline vista, the partial ocean view and Coogee Basin views, in addition to the loss of early morning sun and the sense of overcrowding. There has been no efforts to assess adverse impacts of views with the latest proposal. The addition of an emergency exit on levels 1 and 2 on the western side also worsens our privacy. The level 2 entrance will be just above fence line and easily viewed from our higher main living area. And similarly, the same entrance will look down onto our pool area, creating privacy issues. The operational plans that allow for these entrances to be used as an emergency exit might work in theory, but there are 12 occupants on level 2. Leaving via the western exit and down the western side of the building would, I think, the quickest way in and out of the building and would be used as such. The light spill from this glazed western exit and also the level or the floor level above is orientated directly into my living areas, and the light spill will be significant. No further attention.
I'll give you a further.
Can I keep going here? Or
yes, I'll give you a further minute. Keep going.
Thank you. Nearly done. Nearly done.
Okay.
A point I didn't raise this morning is that I still have concerns about the rooftop being easily accessed by residents off the 2 new balconies of level 3 and also off the one off level 5. It's unclear what the window or door types are on level 4 and their accessibility out onto the rooftop. It was a condition of the LEC to delete the balconies off level 3 and to ensure these areas are non-trafficable. If trafficable, they would create further adverse privacy impacts as they look straight into our living areas and outdoor living spaces. In summary, the proposal further steals amenity from its neighbours. The amended changes are significant with further adverse impact on views, privacy and amenity. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Davies. Panel, are there any questions or comments for this speaker? Thank you. I think we saw what we needed to see on site today to enable us to make a determination. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next, I have Chad Downey, 4-6 Clyde Street.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak on the application today. I'm the owner of one of the townhouses on 4-6 Clyde Street, and I live there with my partner and 3-year-old daughter and 1-year-old son. I've provided written submissions throughout the process and have reviewed the materials, including the latest development application report, which I'll refer to during the submission. I agree with the council that the application should be refused, although I maintain that a boarding house at this location is not compatible with the local area character, has limited access to public transport and is not appropriate for a quiet cul-de-sac with limited parking. As that issue has already been decided by the court, I'll speak to some of the outstanding issues that form the basis of the council's refusal. I agree with council that limited parking proposed by the applicants will negatively impact parking in Clyde Street and surrounding streets, and this will negatively impact the area. But I do disagree with Council's view on page 25 of the report that the significant excavation beyond what was approved in the previous DA could be considered minor, and ask that the Council guard against approving increased excavation in future applications. Although not relevant for this current application, given the excavation has not been proposed, damages to the townhouses at 46 Clyde Street through significant excavation is of primary concern to the residents, and they would justifiably seek full compensation and reparations in the likely event that extensive excavation would damage the properties. If it is ultimately proposed, I would ask the council and experts attend a site visit on 4 to 6 Clyde Street to do a proper assessment so we could adequately illustrate the risks. In relation to the council finding there's insufficient open space for the residents, it's clear on the application that the balcony only seeks to provide 10 square metres rather than the required 20 square metres. But I do take issue with the council's assessing officer suggesting access to a higher planting area for the additional space, as this has never been considered from a privacy or a noise perspective. Again, it's not an issue at this time, given the applicant could not accommodate this request due to the topography of the ground. The alternative is if the development cannot accommodate sufficient open space and car parking, the redesign should simply reduce the number of rooms and the number of residents. It feels that in order to maximise profits, the residents are being squeezed into a property that simply is not suitable for 34 occupants. The size of the development should simply be reduced, which would also ensure more outdoor space can be provided to residents, and the development is also able to comply with maximum height restrictions. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, panel. Are there any questions or comments for this speaker? Could I just clarify, Mr. Greer, we at the site today, we could see that facing the site from your property, there are largely solid side walls with a few habitable room windows in them. There might have been one that was for a bedroom. Where was yours, and which windows do you have?
Yeah, mine's at the back lot. It's on number 7, so it's at the back lot of the 2 sets of townhouses, the third one across. So it would sort of be looking directly into the backyard and towards the back of my property, from the rear of that property.
I see.
Yep.
Okay, thank you. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
So we now have the applicant. I think I might have called you Mr. Greer, Mr. Downey, wasn't it? We now have Tim Greer.
Chair, Nazia from TZG will speak. Nazia.
Nadia?
Nazia with a Z.
N-A-Z-I.
Nazia.
N-A-Z-I, okay. Thank you. Nazia, what's your surname?
Kachwala, K-A-C-H-W-A-L-L-A.
Start slowly, please. T-A-C-H.
It's K-A-C-H.
K-A-C-H.
W-A.
W-A.
L-L-A.
Okay, Kajwala.
Yes, thank you.
Nazia Kajwala, and you are
I'm from Tompkins Leica Greer Architects on behalf of the client.
Okay, Nazia, please proceed.
Thank you. I'm just going to share my screen so you can see what I see. I want to start by saying that we have a south-facing site with a number of different privacy concerns, as we've just heard. And I also want to say we have a current approval that looks like this through the LEC, with a number of different conditions that ask us to block the views out from the eastern and western facades. So that's represented in the diagram on the left. So we've taken those conditions and we have strategically angled those views so that the privacy to the eastern and western neighbors can be maintained. So we get a proposal that looks like that. We then took that proposal to council and we highlighted each of the council conditions represented with the red dot in here to test the conditions and whether we can achieve them. And council were generally in acceptance of this methodology. We find ourselves at the Design Excellence Advisory Panel in April 25, and the panel strongly contests the need for car parking. They propose a car share pod for this type of development, and they're highly supportive for the project. So we take that on board and we delete the car parking, minimize the excavation, provide a bicycle hub and a more open, elaborate entrance for this development. We then find ourselves at the next Design Excellence Advisory Panel in June 25, where the panel says the proposal does not represent significant change from the current approval, and they propose minor internal modifications which we make and provide a response to Council. On the 12th of August, we get a RFI from Council that contradicts all of the previous advice we were given, and find ourselves here with a recommendation for refusal, predominantly on the private open space. The proposal matches the LEC approval of 10 square meters of private open space. The second issue is view sharing. The massing of the proposal is comparable to the LEC approval and it's been supported by the Design Excellence Advisory Panel. And it's clearly indicated on this section where the blue dotted line represents the extent of the LEC approval. And the third item is car parking. According to the SEP Housing 2021, the parking requirement for this project is 5 car spaces. Council have acknowledged that 1 car share space equates to 5 spaces based on the court determination. We've not only provided 1 car share, but 2 car share spaces and 1 accessible space, and therefore believe we comply with the car parking standards, noting that we are 180 meters away from a bus stop, 13 minutes walk from a light rail, and have 19 go-get pods within an 8-minute walk. For the last 2 years, our client has put in a huge amount of time, resources, and money to achieve a better outcome to an approval he already has to do his little bit to assist with the housing shortage. And we are absolutely shocked that Council have recommended refusal here.
Yeah, you can have a further minute to conclude.
Oh, that's all right. That's all right. I'm done. All good. I'm happy to hand over to Sandra.
Yes, are there any questions or comments from the panel? I'm perplexed about this car parking question. I'd like to get further advice from council about this equivalency to 5 spaces. I don't see that myself. And in fact, the Design Excellence Panel is not the determining authority, we are. So that's something I want to satisfy myself about. Do you have any further comment? I mean, who is it that from council that told you that
So
1 share space is equal to 5 normal spaces?
Well, it comes up in the LEC approval where the requirement originally was based on the ARH SEP of 2019. And the LEC have granted an approval for a fewer number of car spaces, equating 1 car share space equal to 5 spaces. I'm just going to pull up this tweet, and I completely.
Every 5 spaces can be replaced with 1 car space.
1 car share space.
I don't think it means that. Anyway.
It's in the document, and council have actually acknowledged that requirement in their traffic assessment when we put in for a pre-DA. That's right there.
I can't read that, but I'll look into that with the council. I'd like to satisfy myself on that point. Other than that,
please.
I don't have any further questions at this stage. I think there's a further speaker.
Yes, Chair. Nazia, thanks. Sandra Robinson, I'm the town planning consultant for the applicant. There's 12 reasons for refusal, and I think they can really be, they're quite repetitive, and it can be narrowed down to five reasons: parking, heightened views, and open space, which Nazia has dealt with. And there's an additional 2 issues that I'd like to comment on, which is basics and substantially the same development. Firstly, basics. The definitions, it's a bit confusing here because we are going under a repealed SEP, which is the Affordable Rental Housing SEP. The definition, and we're also going under the old basics SEP, whereas the current legislation is the Sustainable Building SEP. Doesn't actually matter in this instance because the definition of a basics affected building under the old basics is the same as the definition of a basics building under the new sustainability set. They both exclude boarding houses that accommodate more than 12 residents, sorry. The original DA should not have been treated as a basics affected building. It's actually an error. The relevant environmental guide, I guess, in this instance is Section J of the BCA. So in actual fact, that part of the modification application is correcting an error, and we really implore the panel to look at that old legislation and the new legislation and carefully critique the assessment report comments in relation to basics. The other test, I think, importantly, is substantially the same development, which a modification application has to satisfy that test. The court's conditions required a lot of changes to the approved plans, and both the DEEP and the assessment report support the responses in terms of privacy and the massing changes and the amenity changes that the court asked for. So I don't think that aspect of it comes into the substantially the same development test. It really all comes down to the parking. The court has told us that a modification application needs to propose alteration without radical transformation. In this instance, changing the parking arrangement does not comprise a radical transformation. It won't be visible from the external, any external vantage points. So it really comes down to changes to the transport and parking behaviour of the residents. And I hold a strong view that that does not constitute a substantial change to the development. The development doesn't have to be the same. The parking arrangements don't have to be the same. I'd just also like to comment on, Chair, your question about the parking standard. Definitely, there's nothing in the affordable rental housing set that says you convert 5 spaces to 1 car share. That was a matter of agreement that the the transport experts came up with in their joint reporting. So you're not going to find that in any planning controls. But I would direct you to the old affordable rental housing set. The parking standards are actually standards that cannot be used to refuse consent. They're not development standards per se. They are discretionary standards, which I know that you will all understand the distinction in that. The only last comment I would like to say is, as Nazia pointed out, the Design Excellence Panel was highly supportive of the project. So I think the report is a little bit misleading when it says that the DEEP was generally supportive. They said that this is a much better design outcome. I think the officers also agree that it's a much better design outcome. And the applicant would really implore the panel to have a more contemporary approach to the provision of parking, the affordability advantages that arise from reduced parking, and modify this consent so that we don't lose the very significant improvements that are achieved by the modification application. Thank you.
Very much. Panel, are there any questions or comments for this? Yes. I suppose the question for you is, I hear what you say about car parking, but would the applicant be prepared to review or reconsider the parking arrangements proposed?
Look, I think the original proposal was a very deep car stacker, and that delivered the 10 spaces the council asked for. It was expensive. We've heard from the local community that they were concerned about the impacts of construction. So I think over the 2 years of this assessment process, we have tested alternatives. I can't say that they wouldn't accept anything, but I think there's a concern about delivering the 10 spaces that council's asked for. Car stackers are not ideal parking arrangements, and they will make the dwellings much more expensive and the construction period much longer.
The court seemed to think it was a reasonable arrangement, though.
Look, the original arrangement, and I might hand over to Nazia. Can you explain why the court parking arrangement was not preferred?
The court parking arrangement, and I think the best way to deal with this is I can pull up a section, but the court parking arrangement, there were a few modifications proposed just in terms of the noise of the car stackers. And so they wanted us to shift the car stackers internally, and that's what we did in our first application to council.
Excuse me, can I interrupt? You talk
Yes.
about car stackers. You mean a mechanical stacker or two cars in stacked arrangement?
The 2 cars in stacked arrangement were a part of the court approval.
That's not a stacker. That's a
The-
stacked
the-
arrangement.
It's still a stacked car, and it still has moving parts, and it still makes noise.
Get the language.
And the
You'll hear me for a second. Now go ahead.
So the LEC conditions asked us to shuffle those around so that they are either internalized or remove them so that they don't have noise associated to the neighbors. So our first attempt was to internalize the stacker so that it's inbound and there is no noise coming out of the stacker.
Not the stacker, the stacked space. As far as I know, there's no
Chair,
stacker.
sorry, could I clarify? The court approval had a mechanical parking system. They weren't back-to-back stacked, like inboard parking spaces. The court approval has a mechanical parking system.
Right, a stacker, okay. But this proposal has 2 stacked share spaces.
This proposal has 2 tandem car share spaces and an accessible car
No
share.
mechanical stacker.
No mechanical stacker.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, I think that's enough discussion of that. Thank you. We'll make our determination.
Thank you very much, Chair.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I think that completes the public section of today's meeting. We've now heard from all the registered speakers. I beg your pardon, sorry. Number 3, Berwick. We have, first of all, Morris Patrick Cunningham, 1 Berwick Street, wants to speak in relation to 3 Berwick Street, Coogee, DA number 798 of 2025. Mr. Cunningham, can you speak, please?
Good afternoon, panel members. My name is Patrick Cunningham, owner and resident of number 1 Berwick Street, Coogee, situated on the western side of number 3 Berwick, with our 1920s buildings separated by a distance of 2 metres along the length of both buildings. While I've made formal submissions, we were given access facilitated by the council officers to the amended plans yesterday. I wish to focus on just 2 aspects we believe would require detailed consent conditions. Before doing so, I wish to reiterate my thanks to the applicant for trying in this latest development application to be respectful of the heritage aspect of not only number 3 Berwick Street, but also the adjoining number 1 and number 5 Berwick Street by use of a gabled rear roof and maintaining the heritage aspect fronting Berwick Street and Carr Street. If I can raise a particular focus on the latest amendments, which still give rise for particular concern, we have raised the aspect of visual privacy in the bedrooms of number 1 Berwick, and with the amended plans still hold those concerns despite the planner's comments in the council submission that they have been adequately addressed. With the benefit of the amended plans, I draw your attention to the drawing 200 Rev A, which shows the windows by number. The ones opposite our bedrooms are E103 and E102. And if I can just share, hopefully if I've mastered the art of sharing screen. I'm not sure if you see the screen at the moment, panel members.
Yes.
I'm
Must
not
have
sure
block.
how.
And
On the one is level 1 level 1 with showing the windows on the western side over here. And we're interested in E103, which is opposite the bedroom here. In the plans, if I can raise this, this is the entry hall as it is now. It used to be the dental surgery entrance, and this is E103. Left is the depiction in the drawing submitted in the amended plans. It shows, as I understand it, windows opening left to right. As depicted in the planner's comments, though, these windows are meant to be awning hung windows, and this picture does not describe that.
Sorry.
Also highlight.
Hang on. I don't see what you're saying. I can see the picture there. They're casement windows. They're side hung in that top diagram where the cursor is. And
that's correct.
And what are you saying about the other one? The other diagram that you have below and out of view at the moment?
Oh, sorry. Is that in view now?
No, you were saying that they're somehow different. I think
that refers to the next window, but the panels highlighted. Well, firstly, they're not awning hung. They're side windows. It is also depicting 3 when the picture below will show that there are actually 4 panes of glass. They're also highlight and see-through, and that they are fixed on the other side with an internal paneling to maintain visual privacy. The second window, E102, again shows windows opening left and right, and this is the distance between. Sorry, Chair.
Side hung windows. They're casement windows. They're hinged. They have 2 hinges on one side and a fixing point on the other. It's 3
I believe that's correct, Chair.
Yeah.
But they are not, as shown or stated to be, awning hung windows with obscure glazing.
So, which is what the report says, is what you're saying, is it?
That's correct.
Yep.
The planner's comments, as I've quoted there, states all proposed windows on the first level to the side and rear elevations are either highlight windows or fixed awning hung windows with obscure glazing. These measures ensure compliance with the DCP.
Excuse me, I'm sorry to interrupt. If they were all obscure awning hung windows, would you be comforted?
Yes, we would be. I depict now as the artist would draw awning hung as these rather than what's being shown in the drawing 200. Okay. Also a depiction of an awning hung window.
You know what an awning hung window looks like. So we will look into that and happy to clarify that.
Well, just one further point, if I may. We would seek that the windows are confirmed as awning hung and that they be frosted glass with the highest opacity, which allows light to pass but retains visual privacy between buildings. I've raised the issue that the developer is also director of Magic Glass, who advertise a specialty in glass film and imitation obscure glass. We would object to that because it is not permanent, it does fade, and it is also not as greater opacity as the frosted glass.
I've read that submission, and I've discussed that with the council officers, and that the council has a standard condition that deals with obscure glass, and we can add an additional paragraph to that to ensure that it's not obscure by reason of film, that it's actually integral with the glass, and that it's a suitable level of opacity.
If I may, Chair, frosted glass has the highest opacity, as I understand it from my cursory Google search on the website.
I'm an architect with some 40 years experience, and obscure glass works for me. And the condition is satisfactory as far as I can determine. And so we'll apply those conditions that normally apply to any other development in the local government area in this sort of circumstance.
Thank you, Chair. Can I just add one thing that's not clear on the level 1 program, but level 1 diagram? The picture down below shows the original stained glass doors and entrance to the rear of number 3. On the description on level 1, it shows a pantry being there. And I'm just wondering, is that to be retained to be allow light through in its current form, given it's a heritage item of the external fabric?
I can't answer that question directly, and the council officer in the room who can assist, or we can take that on notice, and we'll take that on notice and deal with it as appropriate.
Or I appreciate that, Chair. Many things.
So, okay, was there anything further you wish to bring to our?
And so I think I've extinguished my time, Chair. I appreciate the patience of the panel.
Panel, are there any questions or comments? No. Thank you very much, Mr. Cunningham.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, panel.
Next on the list, I have John O'Donoghue, Unit 3, 109 Mount Street. Could Mr. O'Donoghue please?
Hi, panel. Can you hear me?
Yes, thank you.
Right. Hi, my name is, hello, panel members. My name is John O'Donoghue. I own Unit 3, 109 Mount Street. My unit is the top unit adjoining 3 Berwick Street to the south side.
Right.
I'll just go through this quickly. The concern I wish to speak about was originally raised by a number of people from the local community. However, it appears not to be answered within the development application report issued by the council. For this reason, we think it's appropriate to raise again, as this DA, in our opinion, contravenes section 2.7 of the DCP 2013 Part B2 Heritage. I refer to the DCP Part B2 Heritage below.
Yes, what do you say?
So the proposed amended design, extract 1, section BBB, the proposed new bedrooms are within a roof above the ceiling line of the story immediately below, and therefore meet the LEP 2012 definition of attic rooms. Only in this case, they're not fully contained within the existing roof. This is where clause 2.7 of the heritage section of the DCP is relevant. So below is an extract from the DCP heritage section 2.7. The controls, part 1 and part 2, I've blown them up here. One is reference to attic rooms. Yep. All attic rooms are to be contained in the roof forms. And the others is the eaves line. Roofs must not be repitched or have their eaves line raised to allow for provision of attic rooms. The definition of attic from the Randwick Local Environmental Plan 2012, attic means any habitable space, but not a separate dwelling, contained wholly within a roof above the ceiling of the story immediately below, except for minor elements such as dormer windows and the like. This is the proposed amended design extract length. You can see the red line. The red line is where the proposed structure punches through and protrudes out of the existing roof. This design clearly contravenes the DCP. 1, attic rooms are to be contained in the roof forms, and 2, roofs must not have their eaves lines raised to allow for the provision of attic rooms. This is the south elevation. Again, eaves lines raised from blue to red. You can see the blue, the existing, and then obviously the red, which is the new. Again, south elevation, extract 3. You can see the blue existing and the new red, which in my view contravenes this section. Roofs must not have their eaves lines raised to allow for provision of attic rooms.
Don't know that we're relying on that, are we?
So that's it. That's all.
Anyway, you can proceed. If that's not my understanding, we're proceeding. We're relying on this fitting the definition of attic rooms. It's an additional story.
I think the heritage refers to, if it's a heritage building, it should be contained within the existing. That's my understanding of it when I read it. I don't know about that, but where in the DCP does it say it must be contained? So it means you can never add a story or any sort of additional height other than an attic room to a heritage building. I find that curious. It says it there, section 2.7, page 15.
Yeah, that's if you're putting an attic room in, we're not putting extra story
What's that, sorry?
in. That's if you're relying on attic room provision, but we're not. This is an extra story. Anyway, panel, are there any questions or comments for this?
Yeah, my comment is similar to yours, Chair. It's not uncommon for heritage buildings to have additional development on top. So yeah, so if we consider the attic room definition, then there shouldn't be anything beyond the current room level of the building. But as the chair said, we are not relying, or the applicant is not relying on that.
Do you understand? This site has a 12-metre height limit on it. This development is less than 9 metres high. It's been designed so that its appearance is minimised from the street by being set back behind the line of the existing chimneys, which is a reference point you can use if you want to look at it from the street. So the question of balancing the heritage significance with the ongoing utility of the premise. Anyway, I don't have anything further to say. Are there anything I have further to say? All right, well, thank you very much, Mr. Donahue. Next on the list, I have Andrew Nguyen of 5 Berwick Street.
Yeah, hello, can you hear me?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Shall I start, please?
Yes, please. Come in.
Okay. Excuse me. Panel members, my name is Andrew Nguyen. I live next door to the development site. The council report says that my house, number 5 Berwick Street, currently receives less than 3 hours of solar access. However, the proposed development does not further impact this existing condition. Less than 3 hours means less than the requirement set out by the DCP. Let's have a look at the DCP. Part C2, clause 5.1, solar access for surrounding development. There is a control in there. Here it is. This control is stipulated that where existing development currently receive less sunlight than this requirement, that is my house, the new development is not to reduce this further. Let's now look at the shadow, the updated shadow diagram on my house in midwinter. And now let's zoom in between 1 and 3, where we have some sunlight on some windows. Here they are. You can see this window. And let's concentrate on the living room and dining room only, because they are defined by the DCP as living areas. The rest of the room, pantry, laundry, hallway, they are not relevant, so we can ignore them. All right, now let's look at the blue shadows here. Blue shadow defined by the shadow diagram as, I quote, additional shadow created by the new development. That means that you can see that you see this bit of the shadow sticking out here and here. They are the shadow of the new structure on top of the roof line down here. So these shadows are covered by the new development. This DA therefore clearly breaches this DCP control. I don't understand why council report say that this new development does not further impact the existing condition of my house. Members, my wife and myself, we are retired. We spend a lot of time indoor, and those two windows are the only source of sunlight to us. The new building is going to impact very badly on our life and our health, particularly during the coldest part of the year. If not for that reason alone, then please, by the fact that this DA clearly breaches one DCP control. So please, member, do not approve it. Thank you.
Thank you. Panel members, do you have any questions or comments? What I understood you just showed us were 3 diagrams
Yes.
showing the solar elevations at 1, 2, and 3 p.m.
Yep.
Correct?
Yep. I'll show it up again for you. All right. Just give me a second.
Yeah, let's
Yeah.
do that.
Yep. I'll show you again. Here we are. Share. Here we are. Yes. Do you want to go back one more? Yes.
So what
Yeah,
do you
so
say? The existing 1 p.m. shadow?
Yep.
And where's the proposed 1 p.m. shadow?
Yeah, this is, can you see my mouse, my pointer?
Yes, I can.
Yeah, the very top one is 1 p.m. The middle one is 2, and the third one at the bottom is 3. And that only three one that we have sunlight. As you see,
What you haven't shown us is what the extent of existing overshadowing is at those times. What you've shown us is what the proposed extent of overshadowing is at those times.
Yes, I asked myself, but by the fact that these blue shadows are defined by the drawing supplied by the DA, saying at the bottom here, blue means additional shadow created by additional. That means it wasn't there before, and now it's there. That's additional means. And you can look at the shadow. You can see this. You can see this bit of shadow sticking out of the block of shadow. Yeah, you can see it clearly here. And those windows clearly sit above the existing roof line. This is the roof line down here. You can see it here. And this bit is sticking out. That's a new bit. These windows and these windows basically clearly affected directly by the new shadow.
So at you say at 2 p.m. the existing living room windows would be in sun?
Yes, I do. I do have it, and I do have not all of it. Only at 1 o'clock, most of it or all of it there. 2 o'clock still all of it there. 3 o'clock only part of it, but it's still open. And you can see that whatever the blues area, that means I didn't have it. I do have it now, but I won't have it when the new building comes in.
The difference is there is solar access is affected at 2 p.m. for those the blue windows.
Yes, definitely.
And about one third of the glass area.
Sorry. Let me show you this. We should not look at any other windows. Like I said, other windows, as you can see earlier, the first bit here is the corridor, and then the hallway, then the other one on the back is the pantry and the laundry. They are not counted as living areas by the DCP. So we should only concentrate on the living room and dining room only, as you see here.
What I'm trying to say is they are 2/3 in shade at 2 p.m. the living room window.
At 3 p.m. Yes.
At 3 p.m. Sorry.
That's correct. Yeah.
So I think we understand your proposition in terms of the difference in overshadowing. We will take that into consideration in our determination. Thanks very much for pointing out that detail to us.
Can I say this? This is the fact that the existing situation already less than the requirement by the DCP, and the new development going to be worsening it. And this is directly contravening with this control here. That's my point.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for your time.
That is the end of my list. We now have heard from all registered speakers. In accordance with the panel guidelines, adopted at the panel meeting on the 13th of December 2018. The public meeting will now be closed and the panel will deliberate and vote on each matter in a closed session. The outcomes from voting and determination will be made available through Council's website in the following days. An audio recording of the public meeting will also be made available through Council's website. I declare the meeting closed at 1:53 p.m. Thank you.